This might be one of my last drives in my Chevy Bolt. I want to kind of predict what I think I'm going to miss about this car going to the Model 3. I think I'm going to miss Apple CarPlay. If it wasn't for Apple CarPlay, I would think much less of this car because the built-in infotainment in this car is really bad. Crashes very often. The UI is ugly, it's slow, there's all sorts of problems with that. But Apple CarPlay makes everything great. I, as probably most of us do, use my phone for a ton of things. So just being able to easily access my music, my maps, my podcasts, everything that I'm used to on my phone is here on the display. It might be a little old school, but I think I'm gonna miss the shifter here. And, you know, back in the day when I had my Tundra, it was a manual transmission. I had motorcycles that were obviously manual transmissions. So that kind of stuff is fun, but for the most part, I don't miss it. So having just this little thing where every once in a while I can move it if I want to is kind of nice. And it's not quite the same, I think, as shifting with the stock, but you know, I think it's going to be a very minor thing that I'm going to miss about the Bolt. The compact size of this car, specifically for parking. The Model 3 is not a really big car, but it is longer than the Bolt. It's a 360 camera here. It is really handy and when parking in tight spaces. I know Tesla has, you know, their cameras on the side and stuff. It's not stitched together like it is in this car. But I do know Tesla's sensors are pretty great, even telling you, you know, how many inches away you are from an object. So maybe it won't be that big of a deal. Not gonna miss the hatch in this car because of the way the taillights were designed. This car is well known to attack its drivers with its big plastic shark teeth. I have clocked my head on these damn things so many times. A hatchback does make it easier to load instruments, so going back to a trunk is going to be a little bit different, but it'll just be a little more difficult to get things in and out. All right, now let's talk about some of the things that I am looking forward to in my Model 3. The number one thing is supercharging. This car tops out at 55 kilowatts of DC fast charging, which is not that fast. Considering the Model 3, I believe, tops out at 250, around there. I know I'm not going to get 250 all the time. Still, it's going to be 3 to 4 times faster to fast charge a Model 3 than this car, and that will be a great time saver. You might know if you watch some of my other videos, where I live, I can't charge. So I take it to a local university where I can legally park there overnight and charge. But a lot of times I do have to quick charge, whether it's to 80% or just to get an additional 30 miles so I can get home. It's going to be really nice to be able to charge faster with the Model 3. I'm looking forward to the Tesla software. The built-in software for this car is really bad. So it'd be nice to have a car whose built-in software is, as far as I know, still the best in the industry. Maybe Mercedes is a little better. I've actually never driven a Mercedes, so I don't know. But from my experience, Tesla software is pretty great. Really looking forward to autopilot. Basic autopilot is going to be great because I live in LA and I do sit in a lot of stop and go traffic. Unlike a lot of people seemingly here in America where people want bigger cars and taller cars so they can see, I like being lower to the ground. So that'll be nice. Having an app for my car that actually works and does stuff, and I don't have to pay for it. This car does have an app, but it's pretty useless. I tried it when I first got this car in 2020. It was so horrible. I tried it for maybe a couple days to try to get it to work, and I think most of the features you needed to have on start in order for it to work. I do remember it being awful, and I haven't really tried it since. We're gonna jump into my Model 3 right now and see if my predictions were correct. All right, I am in my new to me 2018 Tesla Model 3 rear wheel drive. And yeah, let's see, I've had this car for I think maybe about 3 weeks now. So do I miss any of those things that I talked about in my Bolt? Apple CarPlay. Yes, I do miss that. I currently have the premium connectivity in this car. I'm getting it free for the first month, I think, since I'm a new owner. And so Tesla has like a kind of portal into Apple Podcasts and Apple Music, which I do use those services. And the interface is nice, it's responsive, but it's not quite the same as Apple CarPlay. For instance, because it's not actually connecting to my phone, it's connecting to the cloud. so it doesn't have any of my downloaded songs on here. With podcasts, I can't get access to like the premium subscription stuff that I can on my phone. So if I want that stuff, I just have to connect the phone via Bluetooth. But CarPlay would be nice. Do I miss having a shifter in the middle to shift between drive and L mode? I don't. I haven't missed that whatsoever. And the good thing with the turning stocks here is they feel nice. In the Bolt, the stocks felt so cheap, and it's not a big deal. It's not like it makes the car not work, but it's one of the few things that you touch often in a car. And for me, if those things feel cheap, the whole car starts feeling cheap. So it is nice that the turning stocks on here feel good. But I do not miss the shifter. The size, this car is longer and it feels like it, but after about a week, I've gotten used to it. I've gotten used to parking it. And yeah, the size hasn't really been an issue at all. The 360 camera, I do miss this a little bit, and it's taken a bit to get used to the camera system in this car. It's not 360, and for whatever reason, even though there is a forward-facing camera, it doesn't tap into that. But the sensors are pretty good, and I haven't run into anything. I haven't gotten any curb rash on this car. Yeah, but a 360 camera, I think, would be better than what is currently on this car, at least for parking. And that is something that they could probably do with the software update. So far, I do not miss having a hatchback. I definitely do not miss having to fear the plastic teeth on the bolts and ramming my head into those. I actually am enjoying having a trunk more than a hatchback because now people can't see what's in the back of my car. The Bolt did have a cover so that people couldn't see what's inside, but one of the brackets on there broke. And so I wasn't able to use that cover for years. So it's nice to have a trunk and not worry about people being able to see what's back there. And the stuff that I was excited about, I was right to be excited about. Supercharging network is freaking amazing. This car charges so much faster than the Bolt. It's just really nice to have a service that just works. I plug it into the car and it charges and it automatically bills my car. Like, this is something, the supercharger network was something that I thought was a little bit overhyped by Tesla owners. It's not. Trust me. If you don't know, I have been driving EVs for over 10 years, since 2014 actually. I've had 2 Leafs and a Bolt. You know, I've had to deal with the CHAdeMO charging standard, CCS, and now Tesla. The Tesla standard is superior. That was something that I was excited about, and rightfully so. The software in this car is great. It's responsive. It's one of those things where this is your first car with a touch screen. It might not seem like a big deal because it responds like an iPad, but that's the thing, is like a lot of other cars, their infotainment system doesn't respond like a tablet that you might be used to or a smartphone that you might be used to. This does. The pinch and zoom is crisp, it's fast, selecting things has the speed of something like an iPad. You know, the Bolt had a touch screen. It was slow, it was laggy. Just the UI looked amateurish. And, you know, no offense to people who design the user interface for cars, but it feels like they get someone who knows how to design, but gives them like either not a lot of money and or not a lot of time. And they just crank out whatever and give it to the manufacturer, and the manufacturer's like, okay, yeah, that works. It's not good, you guys. Maybe things have gotten better since my 2017 Bolt, but let's keep in mind, this software here on the Tesla, though it's been updated since 2017, the tech here in this car is light years ahead of the tech in the 2017 Bolt. And remember, the Model 3 came out in 2017 also. It's not like a matter of the technology didn't exist. It's just, for whatever reason, the time wasn't put into it for the Bolt. Autopilot is amazing. This morning I had a gig that was 80 miles away. I had to wake up this morning at 5 a.m., had it on autopilot to the gig, did 2 shows in the morning, and I was fine. I felt good, and the drive home was a breeze. So autopilot is awesome. I did get to try full self-driving for a couple weeks, and I'm gonna have a video on that. Long story short, on highways, it's pretty cool. Surface Streets feels like a teenager who's just learning how to drive. I think it's overpriced for where it's at, but that's for another video. Just regular autopilot, amazing. I do like the lower ride of this car. It's not too low. I like that sportier feel. Sometimes it's a little bit harder to get out of the car. If I can open the door all the way, it's not so bad. If I can only crack the door open, it's a little bit of a pain to get out when the car is lower. But I do enjoy the lower ride. And the Tesla app is awesome. I don't have to have something like OnStar to use the app, and the app has so many useful things. For instance, I can check the cameras of the car. So if like I'm on vacation and I want to see how the car is doing, or if there's any suspicious people around there, I can check that out. I can precondition the car. I can open the frunk or the trunk remotely. It's great. I love it. I don't know how many other cars have apps that are this good currently, but I hope most do these days, because we live in 2024. Apps are a thing, smartphones are a thing. If you have a car that is a connected car, I would hope that it has an app that does stuff that is actually functional. Those are the things that I missed from the Bolt and things that I was excited about for the Model 3. Looking forward to making more videos with my Tesla and just more EV stuff in general. I'm back. Long story about why I left for a while if you're a subscriber. That's maybe for another video if you're interested. Thank you for watching. If you have any comments, please let me know, and I'll see you next time.